here we go. The moment I've been waiting for. The Monster Unleashed. Now, there's a lot of ways next week can go, but here's the thing, my boy did reach 100%, and it was very clear, pretty much from the beginning of this episode, that it was going to happen. And I think even looking at last week, I mean, I even talked about the fact that we're probably going to reach 100% before this Dimple confrontation ends up finished. And to see the escalation, like, I honestly think Mob Psycho 100 is at peak status. Like, this is peak anime status. I really think this episode is starting to deliver on the setup that this season has been going with, and truly, I don't know where next week will go. I always avoid previews. I don't like to know anything if I can, about the new content coming out. But I think with where we left this episode, even a preview couldn't truly represent where it will go from here. Because to see Mob at that level of betrayal, like, it's not even simply rage, it's honestly a level of pain. There's moments in this episode underneath the rage where he'll take a step back and you see how heartbroken Mob is at Dimple's betrayal. Dimple is basically trying to push Mob into this psycho helmet religion. He's basically saying all these cruel things, and a lot of it feels true and a lot of it feels like he was hurt, so now he's hurting Mob in the process. But the concept of, I was always trying to manipulate you, I was always trying to do these things, Mob. And to see how Mob takes it, I mean, this is a boy who has been used a lot in his life, and he's kind of starting to feel like he knows who he wants to be. He's making progress with the girl he likes from his point of view. He's dressing in a way that he thinks makes him look cool. And then you have all these people, and I love the fact that his 99% going to 100 was because Dimple insulted his stupid ass sweater. And I think it's perfect because it's, on paper, just a funny reaction, like, what the hell is he wearing? It's so goofy. But if you look at what Mob's been through, he's doing something that to him makes him look cool. Like, he's like, hey, this cool guy that I know helped me pick this out, and I feel confident. And to have Dimple of all characters say that it didn't look cool, and that he was laughing at his wardrobe after everything that has basically stung him in the heart, it's no wonder the boy went to 100%. That's the type of masterclass writing that separates a show like Mob Psycho 100. And the episode was just, it was badass. I mean, you initially have the fight with Teru, because Teru, I mean, bless this boy's heart, he never wins a fight, but he always puts up a hell of an attempt anyway. And to see Mob in the different ways that the action was handled, right? Because it wasn't even just like there was psychic attacks, or it was just a lot of punching. There was so much variety, and they had such fun with the perspective. It almost felt like, this is the type of stuff you expect characters like Mysterio and Spider-Man to do to mess with your mind. There's just so many things happening. What's real? What's the real Dimple? What if I attack this? Will it do anything? And to see the multitude of the plant versions of Dimple's body here was so creepy, but it was just to see him like slash, like that initial slash when he was told, hey, if you lay a hand on Dimple, like, everyone will come after you. Like, there's going to be no hopes. There's going to be nothing that you can basically do, right? And the fact that he almost immediately just karate chops the first one, I was like, this episode is going to pop off. And I like how rather than immediately going into 100% very quickly into this episode, you got like 10% every so often over the course of it. And I think it makes it so much more rewarding and devastating because for Mob, this is someone who, his life was finally reaching places where he felt confident. And then it just completely took a nosedive. You made Reagan say these things. You're saying that everything about you is fake towards me. And everything that he thought he was doing well, apparently he was the idiot. He was blindsided. And what can he do other than lash out? And to see him get up to 100% and just, you don't know where it's going to go, right? You know that most likely this will probably be resolved in an episode or two, and then there'll be a final arc. That's kind of how it's feeling right now anyway. But still, it doesn't change the fact that it feels like we're in that peak level status that season 2 of Mob Psycho showcased at so many different points. And like I've been saying over these videos, it felt like this season had the potential to even surpass season 2. And even though the first few episodes of the season were slow burn, they were just really Mob trying to figure out where he wanted to go in life. But that's what makes a show like this so special, is that in its endgame, it can take it slow at the beginning, because it really lets you appreciate where Mob's currently at mentally. And I think that's what makes his kind of self-destruction and his breaking point in this episode so much more impactful than if this moment happened at episode 2 or 3 of this season, but rather taking a few episodes of slower build-up and then episodes 4 and 5 to really build that momentum, it makes it a lot more impactful. And I'd argue this is probably the most visually interesting episode of the season. I mean, there was a lot of really fun shots, and I love the different versions of it, whether it was the plant version of Dimple or Dimple himself just being obnoxiously large in just the scale and perspective, or literally, it kind of gave me like a Hulk Loki moment from Avengers when he started slapping the living shit out of Dimple and he was like slamming him Hulk style. Like, there's just some moments that felt very satisfying. You're like, bitch, you deserve that. But then there was other moments where I truly felt a little fearful of what Mob was doing and where he could potentially go. And I'm going to be interested to see where the final conversation between Dimple and Mob will end up, because Mob's someone who's grown a hell of a lot. And while I don't see Mob killing Dimple, and I don't see Mob fully hating Dimple, I also could easily see Mob do something in the way of separating himself for good from this person, because Dimple is a very fascinating character who has used Mob a lot, and I think there's been genuine signs of good nature, but I think this is a moment that could very well represent a change in Mob's character, that he may not kill Dimple, he may not completely forgive Dimple, or he may be, someone saying like, you had your reasons to feel the way you did, but I could see Mob walking away for good. Not saying for sure, but you can see the potential path that they could go down, and I really think this season is gonna finish Mob's character with a bang. I think we've already started to get a taste of it, but it really does feel like we're reaching the finish line in a very strong way, and honestly, the sky's the limit. I think the most painful part of the episode was the way he talked about his crush and saying like, she's someone who will never like you. She didn't even take the candy. Now she's a part of this religion. If you want to ever have a chance with this girl, you have to do this. And, it really got under Mob's skin, given that just recently we saw him make some major progress in the way that they did with the whole sneezing scene, right? But I think one of the more interesting things that Dimple said in this episode was when he mentioned that he's not really brainwashing. And at first I was like, bitch, what are you talking about? But it kind of made sense in a weird way, because it's not like he did change their personality. He didn't change how people felt. All he did was he made them believe in the religion. It's not like he actually changed them in the way of normal brainwashing. It still is, but you can see how Dimple can spin it in that way, and I thought it was kind of fascinating in a twisted sort of way, but it was a great episode for sure. I mean, Mob Psycho, one of the most criminally underappreciated shows when it airs in a season, but then shortly after a season ends, people start talking about it more, being like, bitch, how isn't more people talking about Mob Psycho? It's peak anime, and I completely agree, but I'm loving it. I really think next week is gonna be even crazier potentially, but we'll see where it goes and how they escalate, de-escalate, or maybe a bit of both. But thoughts, feelings, idea, theories, if you got any down below, leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. You can also consider supporting the Patreon. I got exclusive live reactions over there, as well as you can get video shoutouts like Ailun is getting today. So I appreciate the support, and thank you as always. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.